which is or known as a pericardial sac, which is a double-walled membranous sac that encloses the heart, so it's kind of like a little thing around it. We have the pericardium, which is still consistent within the pericardium, and it surrounds and protects the heart. So as I said before, the skin of the heart really. The pericardial fluid, which is the lube to prevent friction during a beating heart, so every time your heart beats, it needs that little bit of lube to kind of make sure you don't bad stuff. So, and then we have the visceral pericardium, which is also known as the epicardium, which is part of the walls of the heart. But I just wanted to make sure we had another name for it, just in case people still use it. We have the epicardium, which is the external layer of the heart. So if I were to show you, look at that diagram, that'd be the outside of the heart kind of almost. Then we have the myocardium, which is the middle part of the heart, and then the endocardium, the inner part of the wall. So it just kind of leads into it. So where it starts and where it ends. Let's see, this is kind of how the real route of the heart. So the heart is divided into 4 chambers, each with an individual function and a crucial role. So the right atrium, the left ventricle, etc., all has its important role to keep it going. So we have the atria, the 2 upper chambers of the heart divided by the internal septum, and then we have the atria also is the receiving chambers of the heart where all blood enters these 2 chambers. So that's also good to know. So that way it differentiates itself from the ventricles, which are the 2 lower chambers of the heart, and these chambers are divided by interventricular septum, a very long name, which is basically the septum literally means a wall, if I'm correct. So that's it. It's just the septum's kind of pointless in a way, but it still means wall. So ventricle chambers also have a stronger wall because they actually need to pump the blood, so they have to have a kind of have like having a thicker pipe for water. You don't want to have like a straw for your pipe system. You want to have a nice thick pipe. So, and then we are talking about the valves real quick. The tricuspid, the pulmonary, and the mitral. The tricuspid valve controls opening between the right atrium and the right ventricle. So it's kind of the little subroute. And we have the pulmonary semilunar valve between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. The mitral valve is between the left atrium and the left ventricle, and the aortic semilunar valve is between the left ventricle and aorta. Blood flow through the heart. Again, the heart's just a big route that you have to learn. So the left atrium is good blood to the left ventricle. Or I use good blood as in a shorter term than saying oxygenated. It just means good blood at the end of the day, really. And then we have the left ventricle is good blood to the body except the lungs. That's the one thing. You don't send good blood back to the lungs when it's resetting itself. You send the bad blood. I'm not sure what would happen if it did. So then we have except the lungs, the bad blood through both the inferior and the superior vena cava. So which of those 2? That's where the bad blood just comes back in. And it reaches to this type of system is the systemic and pulmonary circulation. The pulmonary artery, bad blood back to the lungs. The pulmonary vein, oxygenated blood to the heart. Oxygenated blood flows out the left ventricle and into the aorta. Arterial circulation, veins carry bad blood into the right atrium. Blood flows into the pulmonary circulation before being pumped out the heart into the arteries again. Artificial heart and breakthroughs. This is probably the more interesting part of the heart because we like to manipulate things. So what is an artificial heart? It's actually hasn't been really popular since until about 2008 when we've actually kind of had the technology to be able to do so. But in short, an artificial heart's almost to the point where you're manipulating the heart. You're kind of replacing it with body pieces in a way how we replace our legs with metal or stuff like that. Well, as far as it's a common replacement of the lower chambers, never really the upper chambers. But the lower chambers, the heart with modern machinery and surgery, kind of like a motor. In a way, it replaces the bottom chambers that pump the blood into something that can do it for you, just in case something happens. Can we go further? Yes, we can. Currently, I've read reports for the past 4 years that we've been trying very, very hard. A lot of cardiologists have been studying into it. If any, like completely replacing the heart to becoming a bionic heart that would be made of almost like a motor for your car, and the way it keeps going is through with the blood. It would literally keep running as long as it would have blood to feed it through and just keep punishing it. So, and I think that leads to the another question. And yes, currently, yeah, okay. So with the new heart coming in, is it still considered vital? You know, the vital means life-sustaining, so it keeps you alive. So does that make the heart any less important at the end of the day, since we're just going to replace it with another one in the future? No, of course not. When you were created as a human, every single human has a different type of heart. That's why when we get heart replacements, that heart just can't handle it after a while. It has to, it can't, some get used to it and then some just don't. That's why some replacements of different organs just can't handle it. And that's why it's been a little controversial if we should just perform the surgery yet, because that person could die and we haven't been able to really manage it. That's what makes you an individual, and that's what makes you special, is that your heart can control your body. This is probably one of my more favorite parts. It's the first successful open heart surgery. Well, performed by Daniel Hale Williams. He's a great achievement for both African Americans and mankind with a technological medical advancement. He performed the first open heart surgery with the pericardium, I believe, or somewhere around there. And other than other heart surgeries had been performed, but they, well, they passed away. A lot of them performed, the first one was performed in Russia, but he died, and another ones were performed in America, but they died as well. He was the first African American to perform it, and he's also the first African American owned hospital. He created a hospital for African Americans in general, or just generally everybody, but a better chances for African Americans, obviously.
What year was that?
I believe around 19 something, 19. It's not like way back, but it's somewhat current. Not like 2000 current, but I'm gonna have to. A few bad things to look out for. This is that boring part where you go to your doctor and they have to tell you what you should do with your life. First and foremost, humans naturally lay or sit down for a substantial amount of the day. If you actually take the time to pay attention about how much you sit down compared to moving around or just jogging, it's not a lot. We estimated we go around 22 hours of sitting down or laying down and sleeping, and we do about an hour's worth of jogging a day. Why is that such a big thing? Well, back then our human ancestors were mostly running around hunting and then eating and sleeping all the time, so they were constantly fit. And then nowadays we have all this technology that kind of does it for us, so it's made us a little bit lazier, but a little bit more technology advanced up here. So plaque buildup is one of the things that can lead up to that when you're doing nothing and eating bad, sitting down and eating bacon for no reason. So it can lead to other types of diseases, or not diseases, but really, really bad procedures that you're going to have to enjoy for surgery. So avoid greasy foods, obviously, bacon, prepackaged food, produce food. You know, just try to eat a little bit healthier. I'm not saying just you can't go out and eat every once in a while, but definitely don't build up on it. And if you do eat that, then work it off. Another way to build plaque is definitely no exercise. Just because you eat healthy all the time doesn't mean plaque isn't going to build up naturally, so exercise is definitely good. Or, in general, just don't eat school food. That's probably the best way.
Wait, what do you mean?
School food is, I think it's so heavily produced, and it's really, really bad for you. It's definitely not one of the most leading things, because not everybody goes to school, but it's there, and it's a stump road that you should really cross over.
So would you recommend eating sandwiches?
Yes, peanut butter and jelly is pretty good, but if you, peanut butter jelly and a good juice, it's probably good if you just don't want to eat school food. Don't eat that every day. And it's not bad to eat school food, but if you're going to eat it, cut back. Learn when to stop eating. Okay, so plaque can lead up to atherosclerosis, ischemia, angina, and sometimes myocardial infarction, or the medical term for death. Or heart attack, sorry, not death. Conclusion is the afterlife. This is the biggest thing that a lot of people talk about when it comes to the heart. Why can't we continue? It's just not in our nature. And we're human. We're supposed to die eventually. It's the system of life. That's just how it works. But don't humans like to manipulate nature? Of course. We've created the internet. We've created so many technological advances that have made us, I wouldn't consider it lazier, but smarter and less to doing work. So we do manipulate danger. How do the jellyfish do it? Well, if you don't know this, jellyfish are actually immortal. They live forever. They do not die, and it's built into their genes for some reason. But I'm not saying they have the best life, because they don't think either. They just float around. How do they just have a built-in gene? Can we recreate their genes? Technically, we could, but we're not at that point in technology to do so. And there's a lot of things that lead into it, factors such as religion, your different principles that you believe in, mostly religion that really, really ties it in. And then, of course, money. Who's going to really want to spend time to do this? The heart is just another vital organ like any other. We live and we pass, but as a cardiac surgeon aficionado, I just can't simply let that be. I want to be able to help somehow, and God knows what, assist lives. So, that's my conclusion. That's it.
Beautiful.